Alright guys, welcome Rec Room players, and I'm going to go over a couple of things here. I've gotten a lot of feedback regarding what's new in Rec Room and how do you have all those colors and how do you get the glowing on the maker pen objects, and how to use the selection tool. These are all comments that I've actually heard within the last week, so I'm going to go over those here and now. These are kind of the things that are new in Rec Room. They've been around for a little bit, but we're just going to go over some of those things here in this live stream, and it'll probably be only about a 30-minute live stream, but that's how we're going to get started here. All right. If you have any questions along the way, please go ahead, feel free to ask those questions here. Some of the really awesome creators have joined the channel, and they're more than happy to actually answer your questions as well. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Jay, and some of the other folks that have Jay. You can give them a shout out. Let me see who has actually joined. Oh yeah, and Dave. A lot of good creators have just joined the channel, so you can ask questions, and they're more than happy to answer them. In the meanwhile, I'm just going to show you what we have. We have these awesome colors. We're going to drag a light bulb over. I'm just going to clone this light bulb here. We have these really nice colors in our palette now. These are brand new. I know a lot of you actually know about these, but some of you actually don't, and I've gotten a lot of feedback from that. So here's our brand new colors that we have in Rec Room. Pretty great. You can also use neon as well. These are the same neon colors, and you can find that when you open up your maker pen here. You can open up your palette, and let's go over in shapes and colors. Here you have your shapes, and then you have your colors. You have all these different colors. Now if you want neon, you just select the neon colors right here, and you can actually go through each one. So I'm going to go ahead and create a shape. Alright, so now that I have a shape, I'm just going to move that. Now that's a neon shape, right? And we can just recolor it by going to recolor here, the white one, and then just recolor it different shades of the neon. Now if we want to remove the neon, we can deselect neon colors and just color it with a regular color. And these colors are pretty awesome. I've created all these awesome, pretty nice trees that bring a new life to Rec Room. Alright, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask any questions about that. Another big question that we actually have is about the selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and open up my maker pen here, and you can see that I'm going to open my palette. I'm just going to create a shape real quick. Create a shape. This is actually one of my favorite colors in Rec Room, by the way. And then I'm just going to clone this shape a couple times. Now, when I clone the shape, it's going to be, they're kind of like individual objects, but when I press done, they're one object. Now, if I want to go back into it, I just go into edit, and I can select these individual shapes. Now, I can split some of the shapes, so if I can go back into edit real quick. When you drop your pen, it automatically puts you in a done, so it kind of like creates a full container. But when I go back into edit, I can like touch them again, and then when I select them, I can go over these three little dots here and split this from this container. So now these are two different. So now I just drop my pen. That means that I'm out of that group. So I have this container and then this container. All right. Now, selection. We're going to go over selection real quick. So we're going to go to select. Now when you select objects, go ahead. When you select the objects, you can have all the objects are selected, right? When you tap it, it deselects all the objects. So that's an easier way to deselect all your objects once you are selecting. So I'm going to tap again, and it reselected all of them. So if you accidentally kind of selected another object, you can double tap and reselect all your objects. So it makes it a little bit easier. Again, I just double tapped, and I tapped again. So there you go. And when you go into edit, I can select these two. There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's how you do it. Now, if you want to create a much a bigger bubble for your selection. Let's say you created a whole bunch of objects. You need to move the full terrain in a certain location, and you just can't do that because it just takes a lot of time to select. Well, you can go open up your maker pen and then open up your palette here, and then you can go to settings. And then when you go to settings, you can just go over, and then we have drag and select size. So we have precise, small, medium, large, and analog. All right. So small, it's gonna go here. Now you see this bubble here, it got bigger. Now if I go back, medium, it's much bigger. So I can select a lot of things here. Go to large, even more so. So that red button is deselecting. The red bubble is deselecting. And then the yellow bubble is selecting again. And then analog just goes bigger and smaller as you're moving away. Right? So the same thing happens. So when I go to small, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, larger. But if you want to be more precise, you can just say on the precise. So this is really good if you're working with very small detailed things. Precise is really good. So this is where you can change all your stuff. All right. So do you guys have any other questions? I'm going to take a look at the comments here and just check out what you guys were confused about, and we can just go over those real quickly here. Because technically neon purple is for black is purple for neon and Unity. So that is pretty much the goal. But you can find other things as well. Whoops. Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. All right. Yeah. So basically, yeah, black is purple for now, and I'm pretty sure other forms of different colors of neon will come out in the far future. But that's a good point. Yeah. Same questions. All right. And we also have like another really cool thing that I just kind of uploaded to the Invention Store. I actually uploaded all these tree sets that you see here. You can use them, you can republish them, you can do whatever you want with them, and you can use them in your rooms, you can use them in contest rooms too, because anything that I make that you can just use freely. It doesn't matter. You can absolutely use all of these trees pretty freely here. So if you guys go to the Invention Store, you can do that by opening up your watch and then going to the store and then entering the store. You can find the Invention Store here. So you open up the Invention Store and you can put in tracking just kind of messed up there. There we go. Just do that again. And then we go trees kit. And then enter. And there you go. All the trees are there. So you guys can download that and just use it in your rooms. You can make really cool games with them. It's pretty cool stuff. There is a link in the description that kind of like goes more into detail about that, and feel free to do that. But I'm also going to go over a couple of things with the tubes, because I've also had a lot of questions regarding them, and there's a lot of cool things you can actually do with tubes. For example, this tree here is actually made out of tubes. You wouldn't believe it, but it is. And a couple other things, like this tree is actually made out of tubes, and this tree is made out of tubes. And tubes can actually cost less than most maker pen objects than, depends on how you use the tube though, but it can actually cost a lot less. So I would encourage all creators to use tubes. So if you can open up your maker pen here, and then you go to shapes, you go to your tube, go to settings, and you have all your tube settings here. I would actually work and, basically just play around with it, because it really is really useful. But one of the main questions that I get is, how does tubes cost less? Well, the best way to do that is make sure that your tube is set to uniform shapes here, and then you just when you set it to uniform shapes, it really makes a nice straight line. And this has very little polygons in it, so it doesn't actually cost hardly anything. It's pretty great. And then if you go into manipulation, you can actually change where that tube is leaded. So you can actually position it however you like. And then since we are actually connected nearby tubes, you go back into create. We're going to go here, and you see how it connects right there. So you can continue drawing as long as you have connected tubes. There you go. Ta-da! That's not very straight, but you can do a lot with that. Now, if you didn't want that, you can go to settings and then go back and then undo that. And you can create. And you can do that without, by releasing your trigger. And I have a little bit more info on that on the tutorial that I just listed in the description on this live stream. All right, so I'm going to take a look at my comments here real quick and see what other questions that you have about objects and how to select things, and where are some of the confusions about the new colors and how to create neon colors. I'm just going to take a look here real quick. All right. Thank you, Mickey. All right. Yeah, I just got a question real quick regarding sizes. Yeah. Basically, it's interesting how to save ink with gadgets. Someone just mentioned, how do you save ink with gadgets? The best way to save ink with gadgets is by opening up your palette, go to gadgets, and then I'm just gonna take out a couple of variable chips here, and I'll just do this real quick. And then if you hook up all of these gadgets together to create something pretty complex, what you can do is that you can select all of these gadgets here, and you see these three little dots that pop up. Just click on that, and it says create circuit board. Oh, wait, hold on, I accidentally clicked something else. Whoops. I'm just going to reselect these. Create, merge into circuit board. Yes. All right, so that circuit board should be somewhere. I wonder where it went. Undo that. Oh, undo failed. Interesting. Okay, I might have ran into a small thing there. All right, I'm just gonna redo that real quick. All right, I'm just gonna select them again. All right, there we go. Okay. So now I have a circuit board, and I don't really have any, these usually have like tabs out here, but I didn't really have anything hooked hooked up, so I don't really have those there. So if I go into configure, I can actually call this board something. So if you have like a lot of different boards and they are taking up a lot of different like moving different things, you can actually package them in this way and rename some of those. And then if you have like gizmos, the gizmos will be like not in the board, but they'll be outside of the board. And it's a great way to package your inventions if you were making inventions, and just kind of like basically telling somebody how you created it. So for example, I'm like, this is how moving circuits, like this is what's creating this object to move, which is the gizmo. We had a gizmo and we had it attached to all these circuits in here. You could say movement or animation, and then you could have another one for gameplay and so forth. And that's a really good way of packaging your inventions. If you don't know how to make inventions, the best way to make inventions is go to your maker pen and it says Make Inventions. You just can click on that and then click on the invention that you want to. You just drag and select. And I don't want this floor, so I'm going to not select the floor. And then go to next, and I have like, it tells me I have like 6 things selected. So it really it just tells you all this whole package here will be like 6 different items. Now if I merged all of this together, it would just be one item. So I'm going to go to next, and I can go and just give it a name here. I'm just going to call it tree test, and then go to next. And then I'm not going to give it a description, but if you publish it onto the Invention Store, then you'll have to give it a description. And then take a picture. And then now you have your invention. Now, how do you upload your invention to the store? Well, you just press publish, and then you go to next, and then you just go through the steps and you take a picture. You can retake a picture before uploading it to the store. So if you want to change the picture, you can do that before uploading the store. I would recommend doing that. Usually I kind of like put it in a place where people can easily find it, and I select the whole invention, and then I upload it to this. I don't upload it to the store, I just like make the invention, and then I change the image a little bit to make it brighter, make it pop out. Then it makes it easier for people to understand what it is, and then I publish it to the store, because you can't change anything after publishing it to the store, but you can unpublish it and republish again. For example, if I want to enter store, I'm going to go to my stuff here. I'm going to delete all of this, and then I'm going to go back here. Okay, gins. All right. Okay. Re-enter the store. Okay. And I'm just gonna search for an invention. And you can see how all these inventions are published. And these are kind of like all my inventions, but I give it a really nice white background, and it kind of just like pops out a little bit. So it's kind of nice. And then if you sift over, I have just give it a really nice bright background, pop out your objects, and it just really features what's really there. So that's a good way of creating your own inventions. I'm going to just take a look here again at my comments. Yeah, you can definitely build on the Quest. It's actually pretty great. However, the graphics do render a little bit differently, so you'll see them just fine when you're working with them, but if you went into like another room, they'll look a little bit differently, and that's more for it just creates a better experience when you're saving the room and less crashing and so forth. But you can definitely create with the quest if you are if you're getting a quest. So I have a quest, and I actually do like creating with the quest. It makes it so much easier. I'm not gonna lie, but there are some rendering issues, but the rendering issues are there for other things. So it's pretty great. I would recommend getting the quest for sure. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining the stream. If you guys have any other questions regarding any form like a selecting issues that you've been having, please mention those now, and we can probably like go over those issues. But I just want to say, if you guys do use the trees kit, please post on like Instagram or Twitter. We will love to see what you guys do with them. I'm going to be uploading a lot more stuff like gaming platforms and dorm room skins and a lot of other different things that will actually help you build your rooms and create really engaging experiences for your gamers and for your friends. All right. Okay, so you can't really save ink with samplers and trigger zones. You can only package circuits. And when you package circuits, they kind of like, they link up to the trigger zone, but the trigger zone does not get packaged with the circuits. That's the only drawback. So if you use a trigger zone, they do take up space, and you can't actually package it, sadly. But it's not that bad, but you can, that's just the way it is. So if you're going to use a trigger zone, then use them pretty smartly of like how you're going to use it. You don't want to use like 20 different trigger zones, but if you have like a couple of teams, how do you manage that and bring those teams together where you're just using one trigger zone or 3 trigger zones, and just try to do it that way. If you're looking to save space in your room, the best way to do that is like all these objects in here. Let's see, which ones are selected. Okay, so for example, I have all these objects. And the best way to make them save space is I can select this object and select this object here, and these little dots will pop up. I'm going to merge them. Wait a second. Whoops. Select, and merged. All right, so they're merged right now. They're merged, and I can make them decorational. When you merge your objects, you are saving a lot more space, and because you're creating one container instead of like a dozen containers. When you have a dozen containers in your room, it takes a lot of space. For example, if I did, let's see, so I'm gonna go back, draw out a cube. Say I have this shape here, and then I press done editing, and I clone this. So this is just one container here. And if I went into edit and I create a whole bunch of more boxes, then it's then I press done, and then all those shapes are in one container. But I didn't do that. I just drew one box and I pressed done, so it's one container. And I'm just gonna clone this container. It's taking up a lot of space. You see that? 84.18. It's going up pretty fast there, right? Don't want that. So what you can do is you can select all those shapes. All right, I'm selecting some of these trees here, which is fine. And then I'm just gonna hover over this, and then see these little dots here? I'm gonna go press on that, and I'm gonna merge shapes. All right, all the shapes are merged. It went down. You notice that? So if I actually clone this, it's taking up less space, guys. So it's important to Make sure that your objects are merged, because if your objects are not merged, it's going to take up a lot of space. Another way to save space is actually to go to your maker pen and go to configure. Select on your objects, and you can configure them to be decorational, and that actually saves a lot of space. But you don't want to make your floor decorational, because if we made our floor decorational, let's say we're here, right? I can like stand on it, I can jump on it, right? But if I make it configure and I make it decorational, I'm gonna fall through it. So you don't want to configure your floor because nobody can walk on it. If you're gonna configure your floor decorational, then no one's gonna be able to walk on it. So we're just gonna change that back to environmental there. And boom, you can walk on it. Pretty easy, guys, pretty easy. All right, so those are big tips there, and I hope that helped you out. Sadly, we can't package trigger zones or gizmos, but we can package circuits, and that does actually help out a lot. So I'm just gonna take a look at my comments real quick. Oh, how do I stream? Alright, someone asked us, like, how do you stream on YouTube? The best way to stream on YouTube is you gotta get your YouTube streaming set up. You can find a lot of tutorials on that, but how you use the camera in Rec Room, I can go over. You can just pull up your watch here, go into settings, go into advanced settings, and you see streaming cam. You have to go to your advanced settings to see streaming cam. You're going to turn that on. You can open your streamer. You see this camera here. I'm going to open that up real quick. Right now you're just looking at me here. Just going to turn that around. There we go. So now I have my streamer cam. Yeah, so I have my streamer cam out. I'm going to okay. Alright, so this is kind of difficult, but if you have your streamer cam out, what you can do is you have all these options here. You have follow, you have face, you have teleport only. What you can do is you're gonna go to settings, and then you can go to and the only reason I can do this is because I pull out my streamer cam. So I have 20, 50, default, and 90. So when you switch these options, it can get closer or further away. So I'm going to go to 20. So now I'm further away. I'm going to go to, I'm really close. So I'm going to go 120, 90, 50, and 20. It's pretty great. All right. But that's it. So you have frame rate as well. Usually you can do 60. Oops, there, 60. Gives you a lot better frame rate there if you're streaming with your camera. And then green screen, if you're using a green screen. I actually haven't messed around with this too much, but you can get some pretty cool stuff here. Yeah, you can make pretty cool stuff with the green screen. All right. I'm going to recall my camera here. So there we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and turn off my stream cam. So I went back and I turned off. So you can't see me anymore. But here you guys go. That's a really good tips on streaming camera, how you can use green screen. You could really make some really awesome movies. You guys really should. A lot of people have, and it's really hilarious. But I just want to say thank you guys for joining the stream. I hope this was really helpful, and if it was, go ahead and give it a like, comment below, and hopefully I'll see you in the game. All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.